Hi, I'm Amber,
And I'm Kirsten.
and you're listening to
Lurking in the Shadows. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Happy Thursday.
Yep, it's Thursday.
It's an ugly Thursday.
Ours turned out pretty nice, actually.
Oh, did it? Did it stop raining?
It did. It was pouring this morning, but it was freezing this morning, actually.
It was cold here today, too.
Was it? Yeah. I saw you wearing long sleeves.
Yeah, it was
over
like 57. Yeah. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it was like. It's disgusting.
I want my 80 degrees back.
Oh, well, I have it here, and the humidity. You can come get it.
I'll take it without the humidity.
Beggars can't be choosers there.
True. That's true. All right, so we are recording this episode in May. Oh.
Yep, May. I was going to say, we're in May. You jumped right into it.
So. Great minds think alike.
That's right. That's why we podcast.
Yep. So the month of May, as you may have seen on our social media, is Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Persons Awareness Month. May 5th was like the main day, but we're going to be pushing some of cases we already recorded back a little so we can release 2 more Native American cases this month to kind of show our support for MMIW.
Yes. And I am lucky number 1 for the month of May in my Native American case. And I hope I do it justice. I'll admit it was quite overwhelming. I am absolutely terrible.
Expansive case. Like, it's a lot.
Endless, really, is what it could be.
Yeah.
Like, it literally could be endless. And I'm absolutely terrible with names, as all of you should know by now. But this has lots of names in it, so I did my best. And hopefully I don't confuse anybody else, because I had to make myself my own little guide. But today I am talking about the Osage Tribe murders. The tribe originated on the East Coast in the Mississippi River valleys. The indigenous name translates to the children of the middle waters, representing their connection to the river system.
That's cool.
Right? I thought that was pretty. I cannot pronounce their, like, in their native.
Yeah,
I can't, but that's what it means. In 1870, the Osage Tribe was forced from their home in Kansas and relocated to Pawshuka, Oklahoma.
Stupid white people.
Oh, this gets that's the whole problem with this whole case. So.
Yeah, that's the theme of this case: stupid white people.
Yeah. Yes. In 1897, a massive amount of oil was found on the Osage Tribe's new territory that they had just relocated to. And so in the government, the United States Department of the Interior, which is the executive department of the U.S. government that is responsible for the management of federal lands, including Native American territory. They also managed the lease for the oil companies to work on the Osage Tribe's land and do oil production and stuff because they had found oil on the land. And in that tribe, if you had more than half of the Osage bloodline, then you were entitled to any of the money that they had gotten from this massive landmine of oil. I'm talking it's massive, okay? I can't even run home how big multi-million dollar industry this is. And each family would pass down their heritage that they would get from all this oil production. And when they would pass away, it would go down from generation to generation to generation. So this was, the Osage people did wind up being pretty much set for life. Like this was a good little situation for them in the sense that they got the oil industry.
Yeah, they were a very wealthy tribe at this time.
Yeah, they were. I'll spit you some more facts later, but yes. And depending on the status in the tribe, determined what percentage you held in the shares of the oil production. So in 1920, the oil market was booming. And in 1923, the Osage tribe had brought in their top earnings at $30 million or
Wow.
$380 million today.
That's crazy.
I'm talking unfathomable amount of money here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is when the could never. The Osage people became the richest people in the nation per capita at this point.
Wow.
And with their new wealth, they definitely enjoyed the finer things in life. Members sent their kids to private school. They did a lot of traveling to Europe, and of course, they enjoyed luxury cars. A lot of people had chauffeurs, fine jewelry, high-end clothing brands, all that kind of stuff. At this time, this was huge news in the nation because, I mean, this is unexpected, I guess, for back then in the 1920s. So the newspapers were reporting.
Like pushed out. They weren't seen as like wealthy, well-off people.
No. And you'll see later how the freaking government decides to act towards these. It's terrible. This is terrible.
Yeah, get ready to vomit throughout this book.
Right? Yeah. So newspapers were reporting on whatever the Osage members were doing, like constantly, and everybody was keeping up on that. It was kind of like the gossip, I guess, of the nation at the time. So, of course, the government could not keep their hands out of other people's business, and in 1921, they passed a law that required court-appointed guardians for anyone who was 50% Osage or more. They believed that the Osage people were too incompetent to manage the amount of wealth they had obtained from the oil industry. Yeah. Yeah. Their plan was to only manage the tribe and until they could show quote unquote competency, whatever that's supposed to mean. But
wow.
Yep, that's how I took it. I mean, what else about them showed you incompetency? So. Yeah. No. So also in this law, if you were a minor,
So they think
no matter
your
percentage of like your bloodline of Osage, you were appointed a court guardian. And all of these guardians were all lawyers or white businessmen. They were all white.
Yeah, that's that.
8
that
lawyers were. Yeah. 8 lawyers were assigned to the 8,000 residents of the tribe to help manage them. And surprise, surprise, in 1924, 24 guardians were charged with corruption
Of
because they
course
were
they were.
found to have swindled millions of dollars out of the
Because they know best,
Osage
right?
members. But of course, most, none of them actually, not most of them, none of them ever were officially charged, and they settled it legally outside of court. In 1929, $27 million was reported to still be held by the Guardian system, the exact system that the government insisted on setting up because they didn't trust the tribe to handle all that money that they had, you know? And that's just a little smidge of how messy this is about to get. In May 27th, 1921, the decomposing body of 36-year-old Anna Brown was found in a remote area of the Osage Territory by hunters. Police put in zero effort to solve this case and wrote it off as an accidental death due to alcohol poisoning, but the autopsy revealed that the cause of death was a bullet to the back of the head.
Wow. Alcohol poisoning?
Yeah. Yeah, but they didn't see that bullet, you know? Bullet hole.
There's not.
Kelsey Morrison later admitted to killing Anna because a prominent local rancher named William Hale asked him to do it. During the trial, he also threw out the nephew and Brown's. Let me start that over. During the trial, he also threw out Hale's nephew and Brown's ex-boyfriend's name, Byron Burkhart. The story that was told was Morrison and Anna were at her sister's house, where the ex-boyfriend and Morrison took a very intoxicated Anna to 3 Mile Creek, where she was shot and killed. Morrison was also convicted of poisoning William Stepson in 1922 and Tilly Paulwell Morrison in 1923, and an associate came forward as a witness to Morrison confessing to both murders. In 1926, he received a life sentence, but in 1931, his conviction was overturned because he was promised immunity in exchange for the other names of those involved, and he was released on July 16th, 1931.
Was there a motive for Anna's murder?
Money.
Money, okay.
All of this whole entire thing is based on money. All this money.
Of course.
Morrison was killed in a shootout with police on May 25th, 1937. The body of Anna Brown's cousin, Charles Whitehorn Williamson, was found shot to death on the same day as Anna's body was found. 2 months later, Anna's mother, who had inherited Anna's head rights, died as well, but police said it was because of old age. In 1922, the Osage Tribe had asked oilman Bernie McBride for help with the murders occurring in their territory because the police were not looking into any of them.
Yeah.
So he traveled to Washington, D.C. to get help from the federal government. While staying at a boarding house, he received a telegram that said to be careful, but he went out anyway. That night, he went to a club to play pool, and while exiting the club, an unknown suspect wrapped a burlap sack over McBride's head and stabbed him over 20 times.
Uh-oh.
His naked body was found in a Maryland culvert the next morning. February 6, 1923, another cousin of Brown's, named Henry Roan Horse, was found shot in the head in his car on the reservation. Roan had borrowed $1,200 from Hale, And I guess Hale thought he was entitled to whatever he wanted because he fraudulently put himself as Roan's beneficiary on his life insurance policy. So Hale,
Did he not have family?
what was that?
Did he not have family?
A lot of this, the guardians, because they were the lawyers and things like that, they were taking care of all this, the legality
Mm.
parts of all these things. And I don't think, I'm sure, actually, I can probably guarantee that things were probably not properly explained to anybody as to what they just went in and did it. They didn't care.
Right. Very shady.
All of it. So Hale received $25,000 or $461,000 in
Mhm.
today's money from his murder.
Wow.
On March 10th in Fairfax, Oklahoma, Anna's sister Rita and her husband Bill Smith and their housekeeper named Nettie Brookshire were all at home when a bomb exploded, destroying the home, killing Nettie and Rita. Bill spent 4 days in the hospital with serious injuries, and right before his death, he appointed Rita's estate to the proper people. And then he passed away on the fourth day. The police found the bomb contained 5 gallons of nitroglycerin.
Wow.
On June 28th, Hale decided to target his neighbor, George Bighart, who was the son of the last chief of the Osage Tribe, James Bighart. Hale had recently been court appointed as Bighart's guardian. Hale and Burkhart put George on a train to Oklahoma City to see a doctor when he was ill. When he arrived, the doctors believed that Bighart ingested poison whiskey.
Hmm.
Bighart had his suspicions of who had done it, so he requested his lawyer, William Watkins Bohan, to meet him that night in the hospital. When he arrived, Bighart told him he also had documents that would prove his claims he made about Hale and Burkhart poisoning him. So Bohan jumped on the train to head back to the Osage Territory, but by the morning, a train worker went to wake him because he hadn't used his bath ticket that comes along with his ticket. They found that he was missing. Later, his body was found with his skull crushed in, naked,
Ooh.
and with no other belongings on him near the train tracks in between where he was traveling.
How did they know he was coming back? Or like getting on a train?
I don't know. I
They're
don't,
spying or
yeah.
something.
So those documents were gone. Whatever evidence Bighart was
Of
giving,
course.
those were gone. And his face was so badly crushed, the coroner couldn't definitively say he was beaten to death or if he was hit by the train. So he ruled his death as suspicious.
Suspicious is right.
That same morning, Bighart died in the hospital.
Of course he did.
So, additionally, 13 other murders of Osage members who had guardians between the years of 1921 and 1923 were reported, and by 1925, 60 or more wealthy Osage members had died and their wealth were inherited to their wealthy white guardians.
This is so infuriating.
Is it not the most disgusting
The
thing?
fact that this actually happened.
Yep, and nobody's doing it. Like, this is all happening and nobody's doing anything. All
Yeah.
these
And
murders.
also, they don't talk about this in school.
No,
We never learned about this.
I had no idea about it at all.
No. I had no idea until I saw the movie.
Yep, they have a book too. I'm going to reference them later.
Yeah. Disgusting.
Yeah. The Bureau of Investigation sent investigators to the reservation where they found a low-level contract killing business in 1925. The Osage elders and one local officer named James Monroe Pyle were the main reason that the BOI got involved because, Like I said, no other local law enforcement was doing anything. Pyle came ready with evidence of conspiracies and murders to help get the assistance from the BOI. And they agreed. Tom White, a federal agent, was sent, and because the police force was so corrupt, he decided to bring in other investigators, but undercover.
Good for him.
John Berger was a former Texas Ranger. There was also Frank Smith and John Wren, who was a member of the Ute Nation and was a former spy for the Mexican revolutionaries. The Osage Tribal Council was very suspicious of Hale being involved in all of these murders. The commissioner from the government that is responsible for the Native American land sent 4 other undercover agents for 2 years to get better documentation and possible evidence against Hale. They found that Hale and his 2 nephews, Ernest and Byron Burkhart, were running a crime ring. Discovered how wealthy the Osage people were when they moved from Texas to work in the oil fields in Oklahoma. Hale became known as the King of Osage. Ernest married a woman named Molly Kyle, and she was the last surviving member of her family. And that family is Anna's family, all the other murders I've told you about. She became Hill's next target. Unfortunately, all of her family members were either shot or poisoned.
So sad.
Yeah. Molly and Ernest married in 1917 and had 3 kids together. Rita and Anna are both her sister, and her mother was also the one murdered, and her cousin Charles Roan was also the one murdered. So pretty much the entire family has been murdered at this time by Hale. The BOI, running their undercover investigation, more tribe members were being murdered, and specifically anyone who came forward with evidence or was a witness. So they were targeting anybody who was trying to like stand up. He was like had this whole crime ring, you know?
Yeah, it's scary.
Molly went to her priest and told him about her suspicions that she was being poisoned at home. He told her to stop drinking anything at home, and he reported this to the BOI. She luckily recovered and survives this poisoning, and she does divorce Ernest after the trials are done.
I would hope so.
Hale, his nephews, and multiple ranch hands that he had hired were all charged with murders with the murders of Molly's family. A few pieces of shit that helped with these murders had died, unfortunately, before the trials. Or fortunately, depending how you look at it, you know?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of hands in this. Like, he was paying people to do his dirty work. Between 1926 and 1929, Hale and his accomplices appeared in federal and state trials because the crimes on the reservation were federal crimes.
Yep.
These trials, during these trials, there were definitely challenges, including venue changes, appeals. There was even some hung juries, among lots of other things that was really messing everything up. But we do get a little justice, a little.
Yeah.
In 1927, William Sheff, one of Hale's corrupt lawyers, was convicted of giving a witness whiskey in an attempt to get her drunk to change her statement. He received 1 year in prison, not for trying to get a woman drunk or anything. It was for a federal liquor charge because, alcohol.
Oh, what the heck?
Witnesses began coming forward saying Hale was offering them money to sit on the jury and vote for an acquittal. There were many corrupt people that made it onto the jury so things could be in Hale's favor. Reverend P.C. Hesser was sentenced to 2 years in prison and a $1,000 fine for perjury when he lied on trial. Hale's half-brother, Irvin Claude Hale, was sentenced to 60 days in prison for contempt of court.
Days.
Days, yes, days. Ramsey did end up confessing to killing Roan, that was one of Anna's cousin, by shooting him in the head, stating he was offered, are you ready for this? $500 and a new car from Hale to do it.
That's all it takes to murder someone.
Apparently, $500. Hale, Ernest, and Ramsey got life in prison. However, despite protests from the Osage community, they received parole in 1947. Hale died in 1962.
In prison?
No, he got paroled in 1947.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they got paroled in 1947.
Who was on this parole board?
I don't know.
I just want to talk. You know?
Yeah, let's go.
I just want to talk.
Just want to talk about it. Many families experienced exactly what Hale did to the family of Anna Brown, where the guardians took over the financial responsibilities of their assigned Osage member, and then their entire families were murdered but never investigated, and no one cared that the guardians took over all of their money. In 2000, the Osage Tribe filed a federal lawsuit against the Department of Interior, but it took until 2011 for them to settle for $380 million to the Osage people.
All those people have to split $380 million.
Yep.
They should each get $380 million.
Right? Oh, because the equivalent of money that was stolen from these people surpasses that by far.
Yeah.
It has to.
Especially back in, or up to 2011, that was the 1920s.
Yeah, like to compare from the 1920s. Yeah, it has to. There's no freaking way. It wouldn't. The exact number of Osage members that were murdered is really unknown, but there are estimates in the hundreds.
That's disgusting.
There is a book written about the story called Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grimm. And there is also a movie with the same title about this case. Because I could not cover everybody. And of course, these movies and these books don't cover everybody either. And this was back in the 1920s. So I definitely focused on the main family and people that, but this happened to so many in the same exact way. And like, it wasn't just Hale. There was other guardians and other shady lawyers, white businessmen who were just doing whatever the fuck they wanted to. And the police were literally doing nothing about it. And they were swindling millions out of these people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hale was mostly the ringleader with lots of little cronies following him.
Yeah. So it's not only disgusting that happened, but it's disgusting to think that it took how many people dying trying to get the federal government to actually freaking do something.
And I'm glad they actually did step in eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
But people were dying along the way trying to get them there.
Literally, yeah. So it's I have it on my list. I would like to watch this movie. I have not watched it. And I also have the audio book downloaded. I did start it, but I had a busy week and I do love reading my books to get my cases done, but I couldn't fit it in this week. So.
Yeah, the movie's very well done. Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. He plays Ernest.
Oh, okay. Nice. So, well, I hope I did a little bit of justice for this case. Definitely check out the movies or the books. There's tons of information out there. It's crazy that this happened. I had no idea about it.
Yeah, I had no idea till I watched that movie, and then, because I didn't know it was based on a true. Well, then when it said it was based on true events, I was like, "What?" So I like looked it up, and I was like, "This is insane!" Like
Yeah. Yeah, and there's
they were also
definitely.
poisoning people with insulin.
Yeah, I think Molly was actually the one that did survive. She was diabetic, actually.
Yeah, she was, and they were poisoning her insulin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
just like
let's
crazy.
see.
Hale, you're a piece of shit. I know you're dead, but you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, I hope you're in endless amounts of torture
I
in
hope so.
whatever hell there
And
is
I
for
hope your
you.
surviving family is ashamed of you.
Yeah.
I hope they're ashamed to be related to you.
I hope he has no surviving family and his generation just died.
Yeah, I hope so too. Hope they all died off.
Yeah. Good riddance.
Yeah, and all the people other involved, all the other guardians involved, you're all pieces of shit.
Yeah. All the ranch hands that took money to kill somebody, piece of crap.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
I hope you're suffering wherever you're at for
Yeah.
eternity.
I hope you had diarrhea for the rest of your life.
Yeah, bloody diarrhea
Oh,
for the
God.
rest of your life.
Oh, God. Well, we'll end you on that note.
Yeah. We'll post links to the all the MMIW sites. Well, the main, like a few of them, we'll post to if you want. Again, to get involved in any way, to show your support for all these Indigenous people that are either going missing or being murdered, and no one's caring enough to do anything about it.
Yep.
And it's disgusting.
It is. And so check those.
We're the United States of America, and this is happening to our people.
Yeah. Make Like a Shadow and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at.
Lurking in the Shadows podcast.
Check us out on TikTok at.
Lurking in the Shadows pod.
And any cases, comments, or concerns, send us a Gmail at.
Lurking in the Shadows podcast at gmail.com. And keep lurking around for our next episode. Bye.
Bye.